Do you miss Chinese food but don't want to deal with the hassle of going out? I'll show you how I made this sweet and sour chicken start to finish. Homemade sauce, homemade rice. I'll even show you how to hollow out the pineapple. The first thing we're going to start with is the sauce. Let's get to it. This ultra simple sauce will hold in the refrigerator for about a week to my own practice. I will say that I kind of have to tweak certain ingredients because it's not as sweet if I leave it in the fridge for a week, but if you seal it up tightly, it will last for you. Let me show you how I put all of these ingredients together. It's really simple. I start out by adding all of the ingredients to the pot over medium heat except for the soy sauce. I like to wait and add the soy sauce toward the end. You'll notice it'll take on an odd orange color. Don't back out, it'll be fine, just keep watching. I'll let you guys see it progress. The goal is to let it thicken but not stick to the pot, so make sure you're whisking as often as you can. Take a look and you'll see the ketchup in it is starting to come up to the top. You'll start to see red specks in the top of it. That's when you know it's time to whisk again. I'll let you guys keep watching. Let me know how you guys like the music. My husband made it custom for me. When I see it's about this consistency, I'll add about a tablespoon of soy sauce. I'll stir that in. Once I reduce the heat, I cut it all the way off at this point, and I just kind of let it bubble there on the eye that's still warm. Once my sauce has thickened enough, I add a little bit of sea salt to taste. Not very much, but because I added the soy sauce into it, once it looks like that, you're done. Now let's move on to this rice. So a few things you'll need for the rice is 2 cups of dehydrated rice. What I mean by that is that I cooked it last night and I set it on this paper towel here to dry out. About 8 tablespoons of butter cut into 4 cubes, mixed vegetables, whatever you choose. This is what I chose. Sesame oil, avocado oil, garlic, and soy sauce. And that'll complete what you need. I like to start out with a hot skillet over medium-high heat. This is a bit of the avocado oil. Now, what I'm about to show you guys is one of my secret weapons. When I make bacon, I take the leftover grease and I put it in a silicone mold. I put that silicone mold in the freezer, and then I put the individually frozen pieces of bacon fat in a Ziploc bag. This takes the flavor over the top of whatever it is that I'm making. I don't have to make a whole rack of bacon to get that smoky, salty taste added to my food. So that's one of my wife hacks I think that you guys should take. Freeze that bacon grease. Don't throw it out. Put it in the fridge and pull it out at your leisure. Once the bacon fat has had a chance to break down, that's when I take a tablespoon of garlic and I put it into my oil. I'm going to stir it around until the garlic sort of gets brown. You don't want it to burn. Burnt garlic is very, very bitter, and your entire rice will take on the flavor of that disgusting burnt garlic, so please watch it like a hawk and don't let it get burned. As we're waiting for the garlic to finish releasing all of its goodness into our oil, I like to take a teaspoon of sesame oil and I add it into the garlic. Now the sesame oil just gives it a very nutty flavor. Sesame oil is very strong. Trust me, less is more. You don't want to overdo it here. Now that I see the garlic is getting a little bit brown, I add in my veggies because they will further release moisture and it'll stop the browning of the garlic. So I kind of let that do its thing in the pan for a bit. Remember, while you're letting everything get married in your pan, that you do not let the garlic burn, okay? You got to keep an eye on it. Since everything looks about ready, I'm going to go ahead and add my rice into this mixture and break it down and let that get all delicious with all of my sides. You really want to get the rice worked in and incorporated with all of the ingredients, and the butter helps so much and it's delicious. So how could you miss with the butter? You'll notice that I'm scraping the bottom of the pan as I move it around. That's my personal preference. I've seen people just let it sit here in the pan, but personally, I like all of those fried on pieces that stick to the bottom of the cast iron just right. They add the perfect little crunch to my rice, so you'll see me scraping as time goes on. Now, I let this sit for a minute and do its thing before I add the soy sauce in, just because I want the butter to have a chance to melt down. So here comes the soy sauce, and that's about a quarter of a cup. Feel free to add more if you want. Just know the more soy sauce you add, the saltier your recipe is going to be. So if you're cooking for a person with high blood pressure, or you're just watching your salt intake, watch your soy intake. Since I only added about a quarter cup of soy sauce, I'll go in with a little bit of salt and pepper once I let my butter melt down just a little bit. It's typically what I do at the very end. Once I've had an opportunity to add every ingredient I add in, then I will add in my salt and pepper, just because I don't want it to be over seasoned. And with that, our rice is ready. We can set this to the side and get ready to prep our chicken. These are the seasonings I use for my chicken. I decided to go with an organic chicken thigh because they have way more flavor. Organic just because I only eat organic meat when we do eat meat. The Drake's Crispy Fry Mix because I like a little breading on my sweet and sour chicken. If you don't like breading on yours, just season it the regular way like you would fry a chicken. And then a couple of other tools that I have set out for myself to make it a little bit easier. So let's get started. The first thing that I do when I cook any chicken or pork is to get the slime off. Now, I know that it's controversial. People say I don't wash my chicken because of cross-contamination, or I don't wash my chicken because it doesn't necessarily need to be washed. Okay, if that's your thing, that is your thing. But I like to pour about a quarter cup of vinegar. I eyeball it, and I don't know how much salt. I just kind of shake it in there until the ancestors tell me to stop. I flip my chicken around, and that typically satisfies me getting that packaged slime off of there. So I'll flip this around. I'll do this a couple of times, and you will kind of see like the grime and the stuff at the top of the water. It freaks me out. So if you guys don't want to wash your chicken, that is fine. I'm not going to judge you, but I'm washing mine. Once I allow my chicken to sit in the water and to have all of the stuff come off of it for about maybe 10 minutes, I rinse it out, and then I rinse it with water, and I repeat the process a couple of times, rinsing and flipping just until the water clears up. This water just looks so much cleaner already, and I instantly feel better. Now, whether or not this helps my health or whether it's a wasted step, I'm not going to take the chance at it not being a wasted step. So once I have this water drained completely off the chicken, I'm gonna set it to the side, shake it out, and the first thing I do is clean my sink. I do not wait a second before I start cleaning my sink. So I run some water in my sink, the hottest that my water can get, and it gets pretty hot down here. Then I take the raggediest sponge that I could find because it's gonna go to the trash right after I finish cleaning with it. I toss it. So I'm gonna scrub the sink really good with some hot water and bleach, and then we can move on with the recipe. But this is a must. This is a must. Cleanliness in the kitchen is so important. You have your whole family's health ahead of you. You have everything in your hands as the mom, as the chef, as the wife of the house, or the husband of the house. If you're preparing meals, that is a huge responsibility, and to whom much is given, much is required. So please clean your sink, keep your family healthy, keep yourself healthy, and wash your hands. Do you guys have any strange practices in your kitchen while you're cooking? Comment down below and let me know the things that make you tick while you're in the kitchen. So now that that is done, I can get back to my chicken. Now that my hands are all gloved up, I'm gonna take one chicken thigh, I'm gonna cut it in half, and then cut it in half again. Simple enough process, just make sure you cut it your approximation of bite size. These pieces tend to fry down a bit, and they're gonna shrink a little bit, so keep that in mind while you're dicing. I like to add my seasoning mix to the chicken, and then I like to let it sit for about 5 minutes once I've had a chance to massage it in and make sure I have it worked into all of those little curved spaces. I don't want to miss a beat with the seasoning. Even though the Drake's is seasoned, I still like to pre-season my chicken. So I took a little Drake's and I put it in a bowl, mixed it with water until it got to the point where it was like a pancake batter, but a very thick one. Then I have more Drake's in this bag here, dried. I took my little piece, I shook it up, make sure I have everything covered, and then I reach back in with my little skewer so that I'm not getting my hands all gross, and stick it on a plate to rest until I'm ready to do the rest of them. Getting these little babies breaded up doesn't take ninja precision, but the trick to it is not to overload your dry ingredients. You really want to be able to put about 3 in the package at a time. That way they are ready for your pro fryer or your skillet, and they can fry up individually. For this video, I'm going to be using my Presto deep fryer. It's the Pro Fry, and we just set it on 350. After testing to make sure that the oil was hot enough with a little bit of water, I'm going to go ahead and start putting them in. So as I put them in, I shake the basket so that I can make sure they fry evenly all the way around without sticking to the bottom of the basket. My baskets are also submerged in the same way that it would be if I was cooking in a deep skillet. So I really like this. If you guys have a Dutch oven, a small Dutch oven, and you can put it on your stovetop, this will make the recipe out of sight. It mimics the texture of the Pro Fryer perfectly. After about 7 minutes in the Pro Fryer, they are done and golden and beautiful, and they did not stick like we thought. So I'm gonna let these guys sit here and drain for a bit. And while we do that, I'm going to show you how to break down a pineapple. Now, the first thing you want to do is take off the tags and cut off any edges that kind of frayed out up at the top. Take a knife with a nice serrated edge, just like that one, and find the center of your pineapple. Cut straight down into the middle of the foliage of the pineapple until you reach the top. When I get to the top of the pineapple, I kind of seesaw back and forth so that I'm not cutting too much of the pineapple away. I constantly do checks on myself to make sure I'm not splitting it too much. Now, this isn't difficult, but it does require you slowing down a bit. You can't recut a pineapple. Not unless you bought 3, and we don't want to have to be wasteful. So take your time, slow and steady. Now let me show you how to get through the core. The core of the pineapple is much more tough and much more fibrous than the fruit portion of it. So you see it's giving me a tiny bit of resistance, but that is okay because it's coming out. So you see I have my knife in at an angle, still a knife with a nice serrated edge so that I'm able to get through the core. Cut around and make a nice circle, and then slice across it. Make more cuts down the length of the pineapple on either side of the core. So that it's easier to scoop out of the shell with less trauma to the shell. Since we want to use it as a bowl, I like to go back through the pineapple with a knife and reinforce the lines that I just made. Now this is my favorite part. Being able to go through with a spoon now, since we cut the square portions out, we can now just go through with a spoon and scoop out the pieces. And this is my favorite part because not only does it smell good, I get to snack while I'm in here since I'm in the kitchen by myself. I think that's my very favorite part about cooking, is that I'm in the kitchen and I get to taste it first. So all of this pineapple I'm gonna save for later, especially the core, because it's really good for you, for women and for our reproductive systems. So I like to save it and put it in smoothies. I'm gonna leave it on this plate that I have right here and let it freeze individually in the freezer. And then when I'm ready for just a little bit of pineapple to add to my smoothie, I can take out the squares instead of having to break off a chunk because it was frozen in the juice. Let it freeze out, space them out, gonna be great. Now this, I keep for a snack. This doesn't even make it to the freezer. I will not lie. It is the best part about serving food in a pineapple. Now you can either take this pineapple slaw and save it for later, or you can add it to your sauce just to spice things up a bit, since it does have pineapple juice already included. This is my favorite part. Let's toss it in the sauce that we made earlier and get it all nice and coated. Now I like to keep my chicken a little bit on the crispy side, but if you like for yours to be saturated in the sauce, go ahead and pour that whole jar in there. It's your prerogative, dear, because it's your kitchen and it is your way. Now with this, we're done. And after this chicken is tossed, we can start plating up. Now, usually I'm a stickler for very, very neat and precise and measured presentations. But when I have a meal like this, I tend to just put it all in the pineapple. This is a comfort food for me, so if a little bit of it drips out of the pineapple onto the plate, so what? You know, it's my kitchen and we're having a really good time here. Look at this chicken getting piled into this pineapple. Okay, guys, don't lick your phone. Just buy the ingredients. Everything's gonna be fine. Now, once I get as much chicken as I think I want in this pineapple, I load it up with a little bit more rice because I won't lie, that garlic is screaming to me from this serving bowl. So I'm really gonna load this one up. I like to take a little bit of green onion and garnish with it just because it makes me feel extra fancy. You know, what garnishes do you like? What do you add to your meals after you finish slaying them in the kitchen? These are mine. Why don't you list yours down below? Maybe we can share some ideas. With that, you are done. Dinner is served. It is on a plate. It is juicy. It is crispy. It is garlicky and delicious. And you made it in your house for less than $10 per serving per person. Now, if you are feeding more people, double up. If this recipe helped you or if you liked it, please consider subscribing, like, and comment down below. Bye-bye.